And our in-studio guest this week will be Craig Blake, the May Volunteer of the Month from the Yay Tigers. Steph had a chat with him about how season 2024 has gone and just getting back into the competition football-wise.
All right, everyone, I'm here with Craig Blake today, who is the Yay team manager and football manager. We've got him on the show today because you've just been nominated as Volunteer of the Month for May, which is awesome. But firstly, I wanted to ask you a little bit about your role that you've played over the last sort of couple of seasons. As we know, you guys were in recess last season.
Yep.
Can you tell us a little bit about all the work that's gone into getting two teams back on the park this year?
Yeah, so I've only sort of been around, I've only moved up to Yay in July last year, so pretty new for me in terms of being part of the club. But I guess prior to that, obviously, with COVID and then, sort of the year of the merger with Broadford, and then we had the year of recess from the football. The netball obviously did a lot of heavy lifting in that year, so they were still a standalone team those 2 years. So essentially what I've been told is that they got a new committee in place, kept the netball running, as I said before. Then they put in place a coaching panel. So they got Mitch Scully and a couple of local fellas, Dan Evans and Ryan Sargent as reserves coach. And then from there, they got together a bit of a committee to put together some list management. And from there, started contacting past players, current players that had played previously in the year before, and then slowly build a list that way. So that's essentially how they've gone about it.
Yeah, amazing. And then from your personal point of view, what drives you to volunteer with the club?
Yeah, look, it's one of those things that you always reflect on when something like this comes up. And I guess there's been a couple of constants in my life. One's sport, in my own sporting endeavours and things like that. And when I haven't been able to be involved in, I was able to be involved in playing footy for a long time since I was sort of a kid due to injuries and operations and things like that. So even when my own kids were playing juniors, I was always involved in coaching, team managing, whatever it might be. I've been involved in committees in different sporting clubs, career clubs, tennis clubs, that sort of thing. So it's always something I've done. It's always something I sort of believe in pretty deeply because I don't want to send my kids down to be looked after by other people in terms of if I'm not going to be involved, sort of thing. So, but I guess Yay's a bit different because I have got no connections there. So, as I say, my wife and I just moved up last year, and it was actually through a couple of the guys that are part of the list management. There was Ash Walsh, but AJ McCarthy as well. It was sort of through AJ, who knows a mate of mine who got talking and saying that they're putting the club back together and putting two teams back out. And he contacted me through my mate, and I said, "Oh well, let's have a chat," and all happened from there. And so it gives me something to do on a Saturday as well. So it's been good. So
good to be involved in the community too when you're new to somewhere and get to know everyone.
Yeah, and country towns are like that. Like I've done my first rodeo with a country town. I lived up in the Wimmera in my first sort of teaching job many years ago, and I got involved in the footy club there as well. So it's not knowing anyone in town, in Yay especially, it's been great to get to know people. Sort of going to shops now and get a coffee in the morning, or going to the hardware store and people say, it's a good result on the weekend and that sort of thing.
Yes.
So yeah, so it's nice to, and obviously all the players and the people around the club, directly connected with the club. I've just got to know people, really quickly, which take maybe years to do that if otherwise. So
for sure.
So it's been good. Yeah.
Amazing. And then with it being the first season that the guys are back on the park, do you have goals or milestones that you sort of want to hit in this first season?
Yeah, so once again, something I sort of spoke to Mitch about what are we looking to do and things like that. And essentially the aim was to put two competitive sides back on the park. Now to do that, it's pretty much about numbers and getting players available. To get 80 players at this point in time registered is awesome. Now, we know some of those are players that can help us at certain weekends. They're not available every weekend. That was always the case. But we've got a real core group of players. So that was the first thing, we wanted to set a goal of getting two competitive sides, and I think the results have shown that we've been competitive. So that's sort of ticked that box, which is really good. In terms of other things, we wanted to reconnect with the community, because when you lose a footy club like that, or a footy teams, because the netball was still going, but when you lose a big chunk of that, you've still got that sort of pulse going because the netball's going, but it sort of loses the heartbeat of the town that really is not there. And I think part of that has been allowed the community to reconnect with the footy team and with the footy club and netball club back together. And I think that's shown because we had the golf club members of the golf club come out and have a luncheon, which was awesome. The Powtail game. So and there's some of those are ex-players and from many years ago, and some have got kids playing or not kids but young adult. Their children sort of thing are playing there, but as adults sort of thing. So it's really good to have that connection. So we've managed to sort of do that. So we've sort of ticked that box as well. It was never about wins this season. It was about really building our culture and our environment again, because we want the club to be around another 130 years essentially.
Yeah, so, for sure. Yeah, perfect. And then we spoke a little bit about it just then, but how are you finding the response from the community since returning? So, crowds at home games, general support of the team, that kind of thing. Yeah,
it's been really good, and people are jumping on board to help out as well. So, and I think sort of when as I sort of alluded to before, when something like this is taken away, whether it's through COVID and then the merge year, the recess year and all that sort of thing, people realise what they've now missed. And I think you can see with the players out there when they're playing, whether it's on the court or netball or on the footy field, everyone's just really enjoying it. And that's really showing through in the results. So, it just shows that, and the spectators are there, they're enjoying it. And go to sort of local footies and footy games, that sort of thing, in the past that I've been to, and this is not every game, but there's a lot of sledging going on, of course. But that doesn't seem to, you walk around the game, you don't see that as much. It's just people who are just enjoying it and cheering when it's there and calling for the ball and all the stuff that people do. But it's not. It's really good natured and people just enjoy themselves. I think, having it back out there and being able to go to the footy and the netball. Yeah, so,
perfect. Well, if we look ahead to the next few seasons, obviously continuing to build on a lot of that stuff, is the main goal just maintaining the teams? Is it growth? Is it more wins? Is it maybe a little bit of all of that?
Yeah, so I mean, if you look at the AFL Tides that have defied gravity in terms of performing well, what they've got right is they've got their culture right. They've got their environment, their environment where players want to go and play. So we're looking to make sure we maintain the competitive teams on the field, say football and netball. We've done that we've got about probably 70-75% local players. Some are living in Melbourne, but they come back and play. Obviously, they've brought some mates back as well, which is really helpful. But we also want it to be a sort of a destination for our kids coming through the junior club to be able to see there's something there for me to be able to go and play seniors. Now, we're going to need to maybe build some pathways of that. So I know Mitch is pretty keen to eventually have under-19s, possibly women's footy. So there's not just for the boys, but there's footy for the girls as well. So and lead into women's footy as well. So it's a huge growth area for all clubs. So they're sort of some of the things that won't happen for next year, but they're things that we've got on the park, or ideas we've got to sort of building that club culture. At the end of the day, I guess premierships are nice, and we'd love to get to that sort of thing. But I guess the key thing is to be competing for them. And the more you compete for them, the more chance you are of probably picking those up. But we're not going to put that at risk of. We're not going to go that hard for that at the risk of club culture and environment. So that's our main focus. So,
perfect. It sounds so exciting. There'll be lots to watch over the coming years.
It's good fun. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah,
amazing. Yeah. And then when you saw that you'd been nominated and then also won Volunteer of the Month for May for your efforts and contribution, how did you feel about it?
Yeah, it's sort of the way it came about was I didn't even know it existed. So, and then we've got a sort of a team chat with all the players and myself and the coaches and I was sort of busy working and had all these missed notifications and someone sort of shared it and I was really shocked because I've only been there 5 minutes literally and a lot of other people have done so much more. So it was nice to get that recognition and. Not that you obviously do it for that, but it's lovely that someone thought highly enough of what I've done to actually nominate me. So really, really nice surprise and got lovely messages from some of the players and that sort of thing. So it was lovely. Yeah, it was really nice.
Yeah, perfect. Yeah. Well, that's what I've got for you today, and thank you so much for your time. Really appreciate you coming in, and best of luck for the rest of the season and the next couple coming up. Yeah, thanks, Steph. It's just I think as I say, everyone's just really happy to be back out there, and you can see it in if you go and watch any of the matches, you can just see how the players are enjoying it. And onwards and upwards from here, hopefully. Amazing. Thanks. All right. Thanks.